Hello guys, welcome to our Practical Research 1 subject, and for today, we will be defining what is research. Before we start, let's proceed with the objective first. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define research, explain the importance of research in the daily life of an individual, and describe the characteristics of research and the goals for conducting such. So over the years, guys, many experts have given their own definitions of the word research. So there are different perspectives on the subject that have been adopted that resulted into different definitions. So today we will be using one definition because I asked you last week to search for definitions of research. So according to Pollitt and Beck of 2004, research follows a step-by-step process of investigation that uses a standardized approach in answering questions or solving problems. So when we say step-by-step process, it is a 1, 2, 3 process. So meaning to say you need to follow specific steps in order for you to conduct it effectively. In research, there is a problem that you need to solve. That's why you will be conducting this study to answer the questions you have in mind. So take note that in answering this question or in solving the problems, there is a specific instrument or approach that you need to know and you need to apply, which we will be discussing later on. When we say research, it is also an investigation of something. It can be for additional knowledge, for contribution, and whatnot. Now let's go to the characteristics of research. We have 5 characteristics of research. First is the research should be systematic. So in research, there is a system, meaning to say a system that we need to follow in conducting a research. So you need to follow something or you need to follow a system for formulating each part of the research. Take note, guys, that research is divided into different parts. So in a research, there is a big system, or we can say it as macro, and under it are small systems, and we can call it micro. So macro for big system and micro for small system. So in research writing, what is referred to as the system is composed of the chapter and their elements. So again, system is composed of the chapters and their elements. So the macro system is composed of the chapters that are organized in a logical and scientific manner. On the other hand, when we say microsystem, it consists of detailed contents of each paper. So the contents are further divided into elements that are organized following a systematic procedure. Second, the research should be objective. Research involves the objective process of analyzing phenomena of importance to any profession or to different fields or disciplines. It's important, guys, that a researcher should objectively look at the basis on which work is founded. So as a researcher, you must never produce results out of nowhere, because the results of this research should be validated. When you say validated, it will undergo into different process first before you can say that the results are valid. So these results must never be based from biases. So it is very important for the researcher to clarify the indicators and boundaries within which the research is confined, because these factors could affect the objectivity. Third, the research should be feasible. So any problem or extraordinary nature that directly or indirectly affects any profession is a feasible problem to study. So when we say feasible, is it possible to conduct a study like this or that? Can you do it? That is feasible. Something that you can do. So there are different settings that you can turn into potential problems as your study. It can be a setting like in the school, community, or workplace, or sometimes it can be unusual phenomena. So these are potential problems that you can conduct. Number 4, the research should be empirical. In research, there should be supporting pieces of evidence and accompanying details for every variable used in the study. So references and citation of facts and information that the researcher has gathered in his or her paper must be included. So you should not include opinion alone, but it should be based on something that has a proof or evidence. So take note of the citations that you are about to use, as well as the references. And in here, you will encounter the word plagiarism. So when we say plagiarism, it is claiming another person's idea or intellectual property as one's own. So it is important to give credit to someone who really deserves the credit. Through proper attribution, the researcher states that the knowledge being shared through the study was taken from the study of the other expert. So do not claim it as your own. Number 5, the research should be clear. The choice of variables used in the study should be explained by the researcher. So this can be done by enriching the review of literature or by discussing the different theories on which the selection of variables is based. Therefore, there must be sufficient indicators for each variable, and these variables can be gathered from different published or unpublished material. So in order to make your research clear, you should gather more facts and theories, and this will be under the review of literature. So in order for you to gather theories, you can go and find it into different published and unpublished materials. So you should gather and gather more information about your topic. Now let's talk about the importance of research. Take note that research is as important as any field of study. Its significance cuts across all disciplines like engineering, architecture, medicine, arts and sciences, education, also management, tourism, and among others. So it also benefits all the strata of society, like people with diverse jobs, different income rates, varying financial status, or distinct social and political capabilities. So we have 7 importance of research that we are going to discuss. First is research provides a scientific basis for any practice or methodology in any field of discipline. Alright, so this is important since an entire system or operation and all the stakeholders of an institution or organization are at stake. So without scientific basis, someone may be affected or may suffer. For example, in the field of medicine, a new drug must first be tested to determine its efficacy in curing sickness before it can actually be prescribed. Just like what is happening on the COVID vaccine. Second is research is undertaken for the continuous development and further productivity in any field. So any system that will be utilized in any organization must first be tried to determine its value, and it must be better than the previous system used. So simply, research is the result of advancing knowledge from the past. Number 3, research helps develop tools for assessing effectiveness of any end operation. We have example here like for example, we have the psychological tests, intelligence quotient tests, psychological assessments, and among others. So this importance of research is observed in behavioral science, physical science, and others as well. Number 4, research provides solution to problems concerning almost all issues encountered in different areas of work. So some issues include the tardiness or tardiness of employees, incentives given to the staff, sportsmanship among other athletes, and the implementation of a clean and green program in school. So this also applies to higher level problems. Number 5, research impacts decision making. So it is a common mistake for people to make decisions without solid information to back them up. So it requires time, effort, and sometimes money to gather the evidence needed for making a sound decision. So for example, for a teacher to change his or her teaching methodology for the first period and last period classes, he or she must conduct a study first, considering the time element, enthusiasm to teach, also academic standing of the students, instructional aids, and several factors. Number 6, research develops and evaluates alternative approaches to the educational aspects of any discipline. This enables the students to gain broad knowledge and specialized skill for safe practice. For example, research can help determine whether lecture is a better method than experiment in teaching science. Number 7, research aims to advance the personal and professional qualifications of a practitioner. So, as a professional and individual, if you conduct more research, it will help you to grow more and it will make your qualifications higher in advance. So this will be an advantage if you're going to apply into a higher position. Now let's go to the goals for conducting research. Number 1 is to produce evidence-based practice. So in every discipline or institution must provide the best practice of operation based from research studies. So in the health profession, for example, a professional nursing practitioner must ensure that he or she is able to give proper health care to his or her patient. So to do this, only the best clinical practices as proven by the nursing research should be provided. So the principles on which the tasks and function of a nurse are based can be formulated through research. Isn't it that there are different standard operating procedures in hospitals, such as the admission, release, assessment, and also diagnosis of patients? It must be dealt with accordingly. So the results of the research must be published in books and journals for the other health practitioners in order for them to access and adopt for use in their respective communities to produce evidence. So this is important. It is important to publish the findings or the research into books and journals, because this will serve as an evidence base that others may use in the future. Number 2 is to establish credibility in the profession. A profession is defined by the body of knowledge and discipline it employs. So in line with this, research is essential for a profession in producing new procedures, programs, and practices. Number 3 is to observe accountability for the profession. So every action conducted by a professional must have a rationale. So there are principles that justify why a nurse has to wash his or her hands regularly, or why a teacher has to prepare a lesson plan, or why a manager needs to plan ahead, or why a businessman needs to conduct feasibility studies, and more. So the nurse, teacher, manager, or the businessman must be accountable for each task he or she performs. So all tasks might be carried out with the task and awareness that everything has to be done efficiently. And number 4, lastly, is to promote the cost effectiveness through documentation. So the findings of research must be shared with and utilized by the individuals it can be group, and more importantly, in community. So this depends for which the study is intended. So they are useless if these results are not made known publicly. So these results, however, must first satisfy the researcher's goals before he or she can share them with other researchers, as well as professionals who may find these findings beneficial. So anybody who is in the same condition as the subject or subjects of this study may also utilize the findings, thus saving on expenses for doing the same research again. So there you have it, guys. That's it for our lesson for today for Practical Research 1. I hope, guys, that you have learned something, and I see you guys next time.